All right, now I'm interested and I'm intrigued. So tell me.
All right. Here's a cigar idea.
What's your idea?
Because I feel like Donger's going to get...
Donger's going to get nixed.
We're going to
hard.
get nixed.
Yeah, Donger's out for sure. Dude, everybody is like...
There's no way.
Yeah, they're the whole like cartoon thing's out. It's done. It's
like
it's been played and now people are pissed off that it's being played. And here's our thing. Like we came out with Donger and we didn't have the same expectation. Like it was... The character had been created years ago, not even really in association with anything cigar brand related. It was all like Donger. So we say Donger and we use it often and people use it often and they know that our podcast and things that we say on here and in social media are, in fact, there's a Donger relation, right?
Yeah.
So this is a thing that we created years ago. And what's interesting is Donger became a cartoon character, not for a brand of cigars, but Donger was supposed to be intentionally this person that related like certain tech, like tips and tricks.
Yeah.
On, it's like you have Donger doing a certain thing. Like there's a picture that Chris sketched out of Donger. Whereas he's laying down, right? And it wasn't his ass, which is the bottom of the cigar, is like being cut.
Like he's getting a fucking, what is it called?
He's getting like a pap smear. It's like he's like in stirrups or whatever. So Donger was supposed to be this cigar specifically for like relating certain tips and tricks around cigars.
Yeah, like how to V-cut them, but it's basically just cutting off the tip of his
right. How to light them. It's like fucking heads on fire. Like it is a cartoon representation of like a 101 type platform.
Yeah.
And then Donger turned into a small subset brand of cigars that we've been working on with My Cigar Pack. So
basically, because we didn't want to I don't even know if we wanted to creatively think of another cigar. Just like Donger makes sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's kind of, essentially that's kind of what it is. Right. And so we just made Donger because we already had this association of like this character that we already created. Already in the fold, so it like made sense. Like let's do, because this is kind of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're jovial and we joke around and we like to have fun.
Kind of sick and twisted.
A little sick and twisted. We're like, well, let's just use the Donger character as the representation of this cigar that we're coming out with.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to us, I'll just say it, like Pravada does the cartoon-ish cigars, right? There's some heat that's surrounding that effort right now. Like you have the Cookie Monster thing. And so now there's like attention brought to, well, I guess there's positive and negative attention around it. Attention nonetheless, but that thing has been done by Pravada and, we intentionally did not do it surrounding what Pravada's effort was at all. But then there was some heat that kind of came to the whole cartoon aspect and all that. And now there's been some articles written.
Hey, kids,
and
smoke cigars.
So we've got, I will say we have an effort coming up to do some additional releases of the Donger brand
with the Donger persona character,
with the character, but they'll be the last ones that we do.
It'll probably be,
they'll be the last ones we do as a result. There's no turning back now. So
no,
we kind of got to steam forward with it. But they certainly will not be. This will be the last effort.
Before we serve jail time and they're pulled from any place where you can buy them, be sure to snag them quickly.
Yeah. We'll have more news come out of that. But anyway, your
Listen, there's a kind of a play on words here, okay, and a lot of methodology to this. But there's a lot of people that are afraid to get in the cigar community because they feel like they're amateurs, like they're novices, like they don't like it's like too complicated or like barrier entry is too high, or they might feel stupid, or they might
right. They probably are stupid.
So we've always talked about entry cigars, entry cigars. And we want you to graduate. It's like you might go to a Starbucks and you might get that fucking cappuccino loaded up with all the sugary goodness because you can't stand the flavor of coffee, but you need that caffeine before you head into work, and you sit in the ID department with Michael, who talks your ear off for 6 hours straight, and you're like, shut the fuck up, Michael.
Right.
About nonsense. So you need that caffeine, but then you kind of graduate, right? And you get out of the sweet coffee drinks and he's like, I'll take it black. And then eventually you go like, fuck coffee. Give me that espresso. Straight. Nothing in it. And you know what?
That's all I drink.
Make it a quad, you know? And that's the graduation we're talking about that we've always talked about doing with cigars, right?
Yeah.
So then I thought about the graduation of the cigar itself. We want you to have a nice entry, something easy, something to get you through. Not too long, short smoke, whatever. And then we want you to graduate to these more complex, more seasoned types of cigars. So then I was thinking, well, really, I think what we're talking about is the period from the conception of life to the point of death. We're talking about you like being a baby and then you being a fucking adult. You know, you're a baby, to a fucking adult that makes decisions for yourself, you know? Don't give a fuck. I do what I want. You're that 80-year-old guy. You want to fondle a woman? Now that's sexist, and we don't condone that, but we know how old people can get. But you wanna fucking piss in your neighbor's front lawn? You want to kill their cat for pooping on your newspaper? That type of adult, right? So I was thinking it's like birth to death, like life and death. So I was like, maybe that's the brand. Maybe it's life and death. But here's where the kicker starts. You're a baby. Wah. I need help. I can't feed myself. I need you to do it for me. We start you off with a little fucking petite Corona, Connecticut, mild blend, entry cigar. Here you go, baby. Here you go. And you're like, oh, that's great. And I didn't have to smoke for 2 hours? No, you didn't. This was 45 minutes. Great entry cigar. All right. And now you're that teenager like, yeah, fuck parents. You know, like, I'm going to go hang out with my friends. You make stupid decisions. Now we got to up the scale a bit. Maybe this is a spicy cigar because we're learning from our mistakes. You know, at this age, we're learning from our mistakes. Maybe we fucking hit you with a spicy cigar. You're like, oh, that's too much for me. Maybe it's a Robusto or a Toro, maybe Habano wrapper, maybe Maduro. We'll see. You know?
Yeah.
And then it just keeps going. You know? Then we have a cigar that's like for that more seasoned smoker, right? Maybe there's some more variety. Maybe it's a crazier Vitola. I don't know. And then you get to the final one. I think this is the most important one, probably. Old people are wrinkly.
Yeah.
So what
for
if,
the most part,
and they're like leather. So what if like untreated leather, like they haven't been conditioned, so they're just like all crackly and they just like the no elasticity in it anymore. It just like their skin looks like elephant fucking flesh or rhino flesh. So like our dad, like the back of dad's neck, if you remember that, right? So I'm thinking for the last one, the death cigar. It's a fucking Oscuro because death is dark. And it's just wrapped in super wrinkly tobacco leaf. And it's like unkept. Like, we don't give a fuck about cutting the foot for you. We don't give a fuck about the cap. Cap's all fucked up. You don't give a shit at that age. You know, just being you.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm thinking. Like life and death. It's like the evolution of your life in a series of cigars.
Yeah, but why do you have to intentionally make the construction shitty?
You don't have to, but you want to give that persona. Maybe it's wrapped. You know, like the Oscar leaf.
Is there a variance in the flavor? Like, is there?
Yeah,
a variance
they would all be variances of flavors. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you have a silky smooth, mild Connecticut to start in a smaller Vitola.
Yep.
Then you inch your way into something strength-wise that intensifies, probably nicotine-wise.
Yep.
Or flavor-wise intensifies, becomes more complex.
And maybe like
use a variance of wrappers that are a little bit different.
We'll call this one the college years. Like there's maybe in there's the college years. Listen, a lot of college kids experiment. they do shit that they would never do in the rest of their lives, right? That's the years they start trying drugs, they start doing weird shit, right? Yeah. Adderall, whatever.
Sucking another dude's
Maybe
dick.
The college year cigar, we throw in a wild card. Maybe it's like we use something else with the filler. Maybe not weed.
Like cocaine.
But meth. You know, but something to like change it up a bit, you know, like not that it's so traditional cigar, but something to give it a twist because you're an experimenting college student.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Dip them in formaldehyde or some weird shit. Yeah. Yeah. I guess there's options, huh?
Life and death.
Yeah. I don't know that I've been sold on this. I'm not sure I've been sold.
Well, yeah, to be fair.
I really liked your idea to begin with, to start.
Yeah.
To actually come out with something because so many people ask, what's a great entry cigar?
Right.
And typically you just default like characteristics of a cigar, not necessarily specific cigar. It would be nice if someone came out with something that pointed specifically to, hey, this cigar was intentionally created for beginners.
Yeah.
And by the way, this brand has a succession of cigars that go beyond that initial cigar to help you kind of graduate into something further.
Yep.
You took it in a weird direction.
Yeah.
I think you were onto something initially. You had me about 25% of the way through.
Uh-huh.
And then you lost me with the old person thing.
But that's going to be a crazy cool cigar. And I'm thinking like even in your 40s, listen, everybody gets fat in their 40s. Like we go with like a Toro Gordo, maybe a 60 ring gauge.
Yeah.
And then you get older and you get flabby. That's what I'm saying. Like maybe it's just like leaf just hanging.
Yeah, but why does it have to be a depiction characteristic of a person physically? Why not the progression of the tobacco?
You telling me if you had a lineup of cigars and all of them like Arturo Fuente, Opus X, fanciful label on it. And then he had like a Davidoff. Ooh, look how prip and proper that cigar looks. Oh, it's $15. Looks great. It's a good looking cigar. Smells great. You got some other brands lined up next to it, and you see it right in the middle. And you go, what's that one? Oh, that's called Grandpa. Grandpa? Yeah. Like, do you not notice the wrinkly leaves hanging off of it?
Smells like urine.
so, yeah. Smells like an adult diaper.
It's got bed sores. Just splotchy.
You telling me you wouldn't try that, Grandpa?
No.
Like, have you seen like the Oscar?
Yeah, yeah. I just smoked one not that long ago.
Yeah.
That's what you want to make?
Well, I mean, that could be the Grandpa, or we call it Grim Reaper. So it looks like the gown on the Grim Reaper. You know, it's like a hooded figure.
Bringing you to death. Yeah. I mean, I guess. I like the idea of doing a progression series of cigars. I think that's really clever. Yeah,
and the last one will be called Spirit. And it's just a cigar like infused with spirits.
All right, let's get off this topic.
I think it's a great idea.
It was a long-winded effort. So TPE is this week, is now ending today. Last day today? I think today is the last day, or yesterday was the last day. I can't remember. But TPE was this week. I've connected with a few manufacturers over the course of the past few days just to get an understanding of
insiders,
just to get and just other people that I know that are there, just to get an idea of attendance and so on. I heard it was very light. Heard the second day was a bit more beefy than the first, but last days are always the slowest. So I'm interested to see what the numbers are going to be in attendance, because I have to imagine across the board it was very light this year. And of course, this is a show that is integrated with, different types of tobacco, right? Different types of things like vape and so on. So it's not necessarily a cigar exclusive trade show. As a matter of fact, cigars have really only been a part of the trade show in the recent couple of years. So I don't know I'm not really sure what the percentage is breakdown of, vape and then premium tobacco and other things, but cigars are only a fraction of what it is. But I heard the attendance was pretty slow. And I was curious to see some new stuff that come out. Thank God there's coverage. Halfway always does a really good job of covering stuff at the shows to see what's brand new. So we're going to go a list of some of the stuff that is coming out that we could be excited about, may not be excited about. Interested to see what's on the horizon. Seems like a lot of newer brands that I haven't heard of decided to participate in the show this year. So that's interesting. We'll see what they come out with. But first on the list is the new Acid 20 Connecticut Toro. The Acid 20 came out, the original one, not that long ago, and it ended up being like this, I would say, overly hyped cigar. Like, this is the greatest acid that was ever created, and it's so good. And there's no such thing as a great like. It's almost like saying, well, this is the best of the worst. That's how I think in terms of like, if you were to say this is the best acid ever created, it's best of the worst. But it has its place in the industry. I'm not knocking it. Just not my thing. But a new Connecticut variant of that cigar has come out.
Makes my mouth water.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes my butt water. So the new Acid Connecticut's out. Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, Indonesian binder, and Nicaraguan fillers. Of course, it is an infused cigar. There's the new from El Artista, the big poppy firecracker. Firecrackers are known to be the short, stubby vitolas. This is a 3.5 by 50. It's a short little donger, which is not really indicative of David Ortiz at all because he's a monster human being. He actually just made it into the Hall of Fame last week too. So congratulations, David Ortiz. It's Mexican San Andreas binder, Dominican binder, in combination Dominican and Nicaraguan, and Pennsylvania broadleaf fillers.
Maybe
it's very complex. There's a lot of stuff going on in that cigar.
Maybe his wife was like, "Oh, you did a pee firecracker."
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, just his dick unerect is
penis.
It's just 3.5 by 50. You know, you have those fucking idiots that will like. It's like, oh yeah, look at my dick's bigger than this. It's longer than a pop can, or my dick's bigger than my remote. What if Big Poppy's just like, my dick's bigger than this cigar that I created? Takes a picture, pushes it out. Casa Cuevas, the a limited edition Flaco Habano. It's a really good, I haven't had it obviously in this Vitola, but that cigar is a really good cigar. So now you have this 7 by 43, I think, in a Lancero Vitola. And it's an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, and a shit ton of different fillers. Colombian, Dominican, Nicaraguan, Pennsylvania. It's a lot of shit going on in that cigar. But I really do like the first, the Flaco that I had was really, really good. And it's been a while since I've smoked one. So, and then they have, I think there's a couple different variations that they have coming out. Yeah. So the Mexican San Andreas wrapper on another variant of that. So, there's some new stuff that has come out. There's some not relevant stuff we're going to just skip over because nobody cares about. This one is interesting, the Fieri Tego. And they're upping like multiple lines. So if you remember from, which by the way, we have some cigars from them coming.
Didn't we rant about them?
No.
Oh.
I'm excited. I haven't smoked enough of their stuff and they're really just kind of coming hot on the market. Because remember, it was Nat Sherman. And then Michael Herklotz bought out basically the rights to some of the cigars, created Fieri Tego, but the Metro line was a part of what had already been created under the Nat Sherman brand. So he's bringing it even further with a bunch of variations that are coming out, which is really cool. I'm really excited to like, you know, there's certain people I think in the cigar industry that's like you root for and you want to build, you know, if they're building a brand, you want to get behind them or whatever. Like, Michael Herklotz is probably one of the most well-known people in cigars and highly respected. It's like, you just want to see these brands do really good. So I'm really excited for some of these Metropolitan ones to come out. I didn't really smoke a lot of the Metro lines under the Nat Sherman brand. I was more of a timeless guy myself. So I didn't really get into a lot of those cigars, but it's cool to see those have a resurgence. Then you have the Guardian of the Farm, Cerberus, which Cerberus is the 3-headed dog that guards the gates of Hades. This is from Aganorsa, so this is just an extension or new blend of what they've already done in terms of the Guardian. I love the Guardian of the Farm cigars.
I do too.
There's one they did with Kyle Gillis from Warped, and I thought that was an exceptionally good cigar. Then you had the Night Watch, which is really fucking good. So now you have the Cerberus, which I hate the band, looks stupid, but that's okay. By the way, Cerberus 3-headed dog is not supposed to look like a wolf. That's fine.
Should have been a Calibra.
It's actually supposed to be a Corso, so that's fine. It's okay. It's fine. You got it wrong. It's okay. It's fine. But anyway, so of course, in Aganorsa fashion, you've got a Nicaraguan Puro, right? Yeah. So that's what's going to come out. 3 different variations of Vitolas that will ride along in this effort. This will definitely be one that I try, no doubt, because I really like the previous two. Hate the band on this new one. Going to say it again just because we're looking at the picture. It's really stupid looking, but really excited to try the cigar because the two variations before that I thought were really
should be able to buy
good.
them in a pack of 3, or it should have been a Calibra Vitola.
That, I mean, if they could have done that.
You know?
They just didn't do that.
Packs of 3.
That's true.
Get each.
Could have done it. Excited about this cigar, the HVC La Rosa 520 Rare of Rare. So it's even more rare than the original 520. And I love the 520. It's a fucking fantastic cigar. I love HVC cigars minus, there's like a few that I'm like, I could take them or leave them. And this one is Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper. It is an Ecuadorian Habano binder, Dominican fillers, and Nicaraguan fillers. Here's the thing. $20 for this bad boy. $20 from HVC. This better be good. Because now you're flirting with the Padrones, you're flirting with the high-end Fuentes.
HVC stands for high value cigar in this instance.
Yeah. Yes, it fucking better. Because if it doesn't land and it hits flat, that's a hefty price point. That's a hefty price point. Am I gonna pay it?
Yeah, at least once.
Of course I am.
At least once.
Of course I'm going to pay for it. I'd be stupid not to. But excited for that release. I think that's going to be cool. Another brand no one cares about. We're going to skip over that. Yeah, I thought it's interesting that you have like these people are like, hey, we came out with this new release of a lighter. No one cares. No one cares. It's like, oh, we came out with these new cutters. No one cares. That isn't fucking news. Drives me nuts. La Aurora Especiales. I guess that's how you would say it in Spanish, right? Mm-hmm. So this is a new one from La Aurora. We were talking to that guy the other day from La Aurora. Used to be from La Aurora on our secret session, which was a lot of fun, by the way. So those who couldn't join. It was a good time. There will be more. So this is an Ecuadorian Cameroon wrapper. Interesting. Dominican binder, and then Dominican fillers as well, which obviously La Aurora is a Dominican company, so the use of Dominican makes all the sense in the world. I haven't really been a huge fan of the La Aurora stuff as of recent. I really like a good Dominican cigar. I mean, you know that.
Yeah.
But I think like that, just if I'm going to smoke Dominicans, it's not going to be La Aurora. That's just I don't know. That's my personal feeling about it. I just don't get too excited.
Like straight Dominican, like a Dominican Puro.
Yeah, I don't get like super excited about La Aurora when I think Dominican. There's just other things that I want to
Dreamer.
Try. So then you have the Luciano Dreamer, which came out in that the first Vitola, and it was the only Vitola was the Lancero. Now they're doing a line extension of this particular cigar, and as a reminder, it is an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, and then a combination Nicaraguan and Peruvian fillers. So they're extending the line to now include a 5 by 48, which is more on the Robusto side, and then a 6 7/8 by 50, a little bit larger, and then which is weird. Oh, that's because it's a Bellicoso, a 5.5 by 52.
I think the ring gauge was smart because that cigar initially within the Lancero is really nice at I think like a 44.
Yeah,
and it's real thin, but it's a really nice balance of flavors.
Right.
So I'm glad they didn't go like the opposite direction.
Yeah, I like the Bellicoso. That looks really good.
Yeah, it does look good.
I think Bellicoso Vitola in that cigar is going to be pretty good, and it's a pretty highly rated cigar. So it's kind of cool that they're doing the line extension. I appreciate that greatly. And then you have the Matilda Limited Exposure number 2. I actually saw the release of this cigar, or at least when it first came out in the news, not that long ago, because I remember it being in the purple boxes. And so this cigar is an Ecuadorian wrapper, Dominican binder, Dominican fillers. It's weird. Like I smoked some of their things, but it's like I feel like what I smoked was just kind of forgettable. I was just like, yeah.
I just had one.
That's okay.
You know what they need on those boxes though? Boxes are lacking something. They need some LEDs.
They do need some LEDs. I agree.
Maybe when you open it, it plays like a track.
Or like the ice cream truck song. You lift it and it's like boo doo doo doo.
Oh, that would be perfect for Pravada.
Would be perfect. And we'll end on this one. This is the one probably most excited about, and that is the Plasencia Year of the Tiger. Now they've already come out with the news of this cigar already, but this is going to be a new cigar that will be releasing from Plasencia. Now Davidoff also did the Year of the Tiger, so let's not trample on each other's efforts here. But That being said, always excited about a Plasencia release. This is going to be a Nicaraguan Puro. It ain't cheap, dog.
Oh my God.
$40 a piece. I love when Plasencia is just like, yeah, this shit probably $5 to make, but we're going to go ahead and sell it at 40. And you know what? People are going to buy it. It's a 6 1/4 by 54. It's going to sell. It's going to sell. It's going to sell. It's going to sell.
Is it a limited run?
I believe so, yeah. Production $2,500 is 8 cigars a piece.
Okay,
so, yeah. And let's end on that one. I don't really want to go through there was a lot that kind of happened at TP, but a lot of stuff is like super irrelevant. I just don't give a fuck about. I'm just like, ugh.
Well,
I don't care.
I say just head on over to Half Wheel if you want to see
if you want to see the complete list. Half Wheel's done a great job at TPE this year. I mean, they do. Dude, literally, those guys are like the fucking. There's things that they know about cigar news that like most people will never care about, but they uncover literally everything.
They're like
it's crazy.
They're like in the bathroom and someone's having like a really like intimate conversation about like this year we're gonna do this and this and this and like there's a guy in Half Wheel like with a notepad in the toilet with his feet up on the toilet seat. He's just writing notes.
He's got one of those like fucking
the
things.
tape recorders.
No, like people where it's the long distance learning like little satellite. Oh. You just hold it in your hand so you can hear people from like super far away. Totally. Just like doing that. Just like holding it.
He's got fucking a set of headphones on.
Like spy equipment. That's what they use. I know, it's crazy. They fucking uncover everything. It's insane. The amount of work that has to go into that is nuts. I am way too lazy to ever go that deep, which is why I use their website. All right. We're going to take a quick break. This week is the Elite 8 round of our cigar brand playoffs. We're going to cover the winners of this past week. And of course, we're going to move on to the final 4 coming up in the coming weeks. I like how, and I didn't intentionally do this, but is now kind of like, it's our effort is leading with paralleling with the NFL playoffs.
It really is.
It's like really true. Kind of synced. It's kind of like synced up together, which is interesting. So yeah, in a couple weeks we'll go over the finals because we do have some other podcasts that we're doing interview wise next week. So it'll be another week till we get into the battle in the final 4. And then, of course, we'll make it to the finals shortly thereafter. So,
oh boy!
But in the meantime, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back, guys, in just a minute. Hang tight.
I'm getting to the point now. My age, my health, the fact that I've gotten all this social anxiety that I don't even want to leave my house anymore. The thing is, like, I still want to smoke cigars at home. But I sure as shit do not want to leave my home.
Yeah, well, you're perpetually sick. So there's a societal responsibility that you have as well.
I just wish there was like some way for me to like buy cigars without having to think about it.
I think I have the medicine for you. My cigar pack. Curated packs come straight to your door every single month.
Is it?
5-pack of cigars, specially handpicked for you. And you can also subscribe to the Factory Direct program and get cigars that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, as long as it covers the Omicron variant, I'm good.
I heard they show up in hazmat suits.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that safety and protection are at top of mind.
That's
so
good.
You can visit My Cigar Pack, www.mycigarpack.com to support all their options. Again, that's www.mycigarpack.com. All right, we're back.
Yeah.
We are back. Did you see the thing that I clipped?
It was hysterical. I forgot that was even in the episode.
So funny. I was going back through just when I was doing like the post-production on the video, and I was like, I put a note in my phone. I was like, make sure to clip out time, blah, 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 to time, blah, blah, blah. Because I was cracking up. It's so funny. You're so fucking stupid.
I know.
It's fantastic. It really is great. All right. So we just finished the Elite 8 round of the cigar playoffs. We will be moving into the voting round for the final 4. So who's in the final 4? Let's recap the last round being the Elite 8. We knew that this was going to get closer.
Yes.
That was the anticipation the whole time. As you move through the rounds, they're only going to get closer and closer, the percentages. Mm-hmm. I did not think they would be this close. There was a few of them that I was like, holy shit. It's literally like by the time they were over, it was weird because I had to really like pay attention to when the time ran out, like where each one was, because within a matter of votes could have really changed it. And also, we didn't really say what would we do in the event of a tie, because you technically can get a 50-50 split. I
mean, I already voted, so I was about to say like maybe we could vote.
Yeah, we vote to see if it made a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never even thought about what would we do in the case of a tie. Like, how do you tie? There has to be a tiebreaker or something. And maybe you just do it by seed. Like, hey, if you came in at the higher seed initially, then you go on.
Maybe
a rock, paper, scissors or something.
Maybe we chalk it up. I don't know.
Or we reach out to each brand and make them shoot a video of why they should be voted number one.
That'd be hysterical.
You tell us. They would look at us and go, fuck off.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
That'd be so funny to ask them. They'd be like, what? Are you serious?
It would be hilarious. It would be really funny. So let's recap the rounds. I'm going to start with the one. Usually I've gone in order of, okay, here's the boutique brands that are remaining. Here's the big brands, and just kind of going down and layering them from top to bottom. But I'm going to start with the one that had the largest gap in terms of percentage of votes. So at number 2 seed of the big brands and number 3 seed of the big brands, you had Padron number 2, Arturo Fuente at number 3. Padron beat out Arturo Fuente pretty handedly, 62% of the votes versus 38% of the votes given to Fuente. Chris, did you expect this from? Because here's the thing. Both of them are massive powerhouse brands. Massive. Yeah. So why would someone pick... Like, if you think about like what's represented in their lineup, like why? I mean, Fuente's bigger than Padron, I think technically.
Yes.
Why is the audience going, okay, let's go with the Padron and not the Fuente? Why do you think our audience and the people that voted would favor one over the other?
Because we're the 99%.
Okay.
Think about it. Fuentes, 1%. Rolex watches, traveling the world, living on yachts. Living in luxurious hotels, millionaires, billionaires, good-looking people, hot-ass chicks, right? The covers of magazines, inside the infold areas of those magazines, you know, in Italy, you know?
Okay.
It's like, I can't be them. If I can't join them, I'm gonna destroy them. And I think that's what happened here. Listen, it's like we the people saw this 1% point down from Mount Olympus. Ha ha ha, look at you peasants. Claiming that they're better than us, that they're gods amongst the mountains of men. But they were fucking wrong, because we are mighty, because we are of mass numbers of us. And you know, it's a numbers game at that point. You know?
So what are you saying that Fuente is you're saying Fuente is reserved for those 1%ers?
I think Fuente lost because we, the people of this industry, are tearing down the Arturo Fuente statues. We're burning the buildings, you know? We're creating anarchy.
What, are we like the QAnon of cigars now?
Maybe.
So I'm confused.
Yeah.
So I'll start there. I'm confused by what you're saying, because what it sounds like you're saying is that Fuente is reserved for those 1%. What I'm going to say is that overall, Padron is a more of an expensive brand across the board than Fuente.
People wanted to stick it to the man.
You think Arturo Fuente's the man?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Well, no, Arturo Fuente is the man, and no one likes the man.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. So they're at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
Okay.
They wanted to see an upset.
Yeah.
Even though the odds were good that Padron could win this.
Yeah.
Everybody was just like, Fuente.
You know what I think it is?
What?
I think it is, even though Fuente owns the majority market share, well, not majority, but the biggest percentage given to one brand of the market, is that people who buy Fuentes buy them based on brand recognition. And for all the people out there who smoke cigars but who are not cigar smokers, gravitate towards Fuentes because of the brand recognition. They recognize the brands. It's Arturo Fuente. It's got to be good. This is what my friends say. This is what I smoke on the golf course. This is why I smoke at a buddy's house. So the untraditional, or I would say not the enthusiast cigar smokers, understand what that brand represents, and that's what they're going to gravitate towards. So I think that's the reason. Would say that's the reason the brand is big as it is. A lot of old people smoke Fuentes too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's that. The people who are cigar smokers and the people who certainly follow us, I think they value something of higher quality. They value something that as a brand is I would say, geared more towards the experience of the enthusiast, and that's Padron. So I think the reason Padron won in such a, I would say, in a pretty massive fashion is because they represent themselves to the enthusiast better than Fuente does.
Yeah, and in this house, in this place, this is Arturo Fuente's lost city. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Get out. You're done. Move on. Move on.
Dude, I love an Opus X though. So it's like,
yeah.
So many people dog Opus. Like the more that I favor them, the more I hear people dogging the Opus X line. And I'm like,
I get that.
But really? But I honestly think some of the people that dog Opus X like don't know really how to get into the flavors of a cigar.
Arturo Fuente is like Space Jam. Sure, you could throw a fucking Michael Jordan on the team, but you still got a bunch of fuddy-duddies. A bunch of cartoons in the lineup.
Oh, yeah, they won, though. Twice.
True.
Twice.
Against Mod Squad.
Yeah, twice.
But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. I get what you're saying. But either way, Padron moves on in the big brand category to go to the Final Four. And then we're going to skip to the number 10 seed, who's created some waves and made some upsets in this tournament so far. The number 10 seed, Foundation Cigar Co. and the boutique brand goes against Plasencia, which was the number 3 seed, had a really good run. But Foundation Cigars manages to upset another powerhouse brand, getting 59% of the vote versus 41%. Plasencia. Foundation moves on to the Final Four in the boutique category. Could we have guessed this? Dude, Foundation has been steamrolling through this tournament.
They really have.
I mean, it literally came in at the number C10, and these were seeded based on this is based on everyone's votes.
Yeah.
They came in at 10 seed. They were one of the least popular, really, categorically in boutique brand, which I find to be crazy because Foundation Cigar is so popular. But I think that popularity has shown itself in these rounds of the tournament because Foundation Cigars, as an upset team, continues to upset.
Fucking like a torrential fucking earthquake. Plasencia comes in this round planning to shake things up, but the fact of the matter is they could not destroy the foundation of Foundation Cigars. What a fucking pivotal round.
Yeah, this one was crazy. I expected it to be closer. My guess is that Foundation would win out, but I thought it was going to be somewhere in the lower 50s to higher 40s range. I didn't expect Plasencia to win because I kept track. Foundation was just beating the living pants out of these big brands. Like if you reflect back onto the Sweet 16, they beat out Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, which is no fucking slouch. That was a number 2 seed. And Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust only got 32% of the vote. Foundation got 68. But I expected, because Plasencia is such a powerhouse brand, that this would be a lot closer, and it wasn't. Foundation won out again.
Foundation fucking earthquake proof.
Yep, earthquake proof. And we're going to skip back to the big brands we had at the number 1 seed for big brands being LFD face off against one of my favorite brands, Davidoff, at the number 4 seed. This one was insanely close. It's as close as you could get without it being a tie. LFD moves on. They got 51% of the vote. Davidoff only got 49% of the vote. LFD moves on to the Final Four round of the big brand playoffs.
LFD, more like literally fucked Davidoff.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? I was kind of sad because I wanted to see Davidoff. I was like, what I wanted in an actual final, was Crown Heads versus Davidoff.
That would have been wild, right?
I wanted that so bad.
That would have been wild.
Because it's two of my favorite brands. I'm like, man, dude, if fucking Davidoff goes and then fucking Crown Heads goes, what a fucking shootout at the end. Two of my all-time favorite brands. But LFD inched them out, man. They just inched them out. And I don't know that I could say anything other than the fact that this was so close. It's hard for me to say why one versus the other.
Yeah.
I do think a level of influence on LFD, though, I will say this, is that Tony Gomez, who is the son of Lito Gomez of LFD, saw me post this and then put it out and said, hey, LFD fans, go vote.
That's smart.
And so, which was interesting because the LFD vote went skyrocketing really fast. So people obviously came over to our page and voted LFD, but then Davidoff started inching up again. I think had it not been, and Davidoff, this is your mistake, should have reposted, you probably would have won because your reach is so fucking extended. What I find to be interesting is that I think Tony Gomez's effort in that regard is what inched them past Davidoff. Had that not occurred, I think Davidoff would have taken it.
Like the coach speech at the halftime.
Yeah. Like rallying the troops, rallying the boys. Yep, he rallied the boys, and I think that's what that pushed LFD over and gave them the 51% they needed to move on. So I did think that was really interesting. Is that and again, Davidoff could have done the same thing. I tagged them both. It's like, Davidoff, you want to run the race, you don't care about the race, then you do what you do, and you got beat out by LFD. It's your bad.
I can't believe what we're seeing here coming down into the finals. Well, the semifinals.
Yeah, we're going in the Final Four.
Final Four.
Going in the Final Four, and then we'll get to the finals, and it's going to be crazy.
LFD versus Padron.
We'll see LFD and Padron in the Final Four. Number 1 seed and number 2 seed. Wow. As designed. I mean, this is why we do this. This playoffs is getting crazy. All right. With our final Elite 8 group up, we have Crown Heads, which is number 1 seed, face off against Tatuaje, which is the number 5 seed. And this was, at first, dude, this one went so back and forth. So let me just say this.
Sure.
At first, Tatuaje had a commanding lead. Garnered like most of the votes.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like 65 to 35 for the first couple hours. And I was like, oh shit, this is really going in another direction. And all of a sudden, you see those Crown Head votes come in, and it starts to even out. And it went back and forth for a little while. Yeah. So they bounced back and forth outside of the lead in a couple different times throughout the day, throughout the 24 hours. But at the end, Crown Head inched out Tatuaje, getting 51% of the votes versus Tatuaje's 49% of the vote. And Crown Heads moves on to the Final Four.
Like fucking King Arthur and the Cigars of the Round Table, fucking rat-a-tat-tooing Tatuaje. Holy shit.
Yep. Crown Heads moves on. And this one could not have been any closer.
That's really close.
Could not have been any closer.
That's literally, that spread, depending on how many votes, is probably, give or take, 10 to 20 votes could have altered that.
I think there was roughly 220 some odd votes in this round. Per each one, so you could just take a percentage of that, and that'll give you your variance. It's within a couple. Yeah, it's so crazy, and it literally could have just been. I mean, it's like anyone's game at that point. You know, it's like it's easy just to say like, hey, okay, there's going to be a time of which, we've got 5 minutes left, and in that 5 minutes, here comes a couple Tatuaje fans. Yeah, you know what I mean, and like a couple votes, boop boop boop, and then Tatuaje wins. I mean, it literally could have been that easy.
This is the first time though we've seen the king and the number 1 seed, come against a true competitive team.
Yeah, I mean, this was as close as, I mean, if you reflect back into the last round, you had Crown Heads versus Louisiana, and Crown Heads beat the living shit out of them. Crown Heads versus Fratello was like an 85-15, or it may have even been more than that. So Crown Heads has dominated through the first couple rounds, but really came up against a fucking incredible competitor. And this one was very, very close.
Yes.
Very, very close. Now let's look at this and let's assess the Final Four. So in the boutique category, you will have Crown Heads at the number 1 seed face off against the upset king of Foundation Cigars in the number 10 seed. So Crown Heads versus Foundation. I don't know that you can get closer than Crown Heads and Tatuaje. I'm not so sure Crown Heads versus Foundation is going to be that close. Who do you give it to?
I don't know either.
It's either going to be super close, or it's going to be a Crown Heads blowout. But I don't think it'll be Foundation with a commanding lead.
Yeah.
I just cannot see that, given the momentum that we've seen Crown Heads have throughout this, even though Foundation continued to upset, through the last few rounds.
Underdogs.
I just can't. It's either going to be close with the Crown Head wins, or it's going to be a bigger disparity of percentages favored towards Crown Heads.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how that one's going to play out.
I thought they were going to be potentially the underdogs of all of their previous rounds, Foundation.
Yeah.
And they just smoked them.
Yeah. Smoked them. And then in the big brand category, you'll have LFD again facing off against Padron. And I think that one is going to be super close because there's a lot of fucking LFD fans out there. There really is. And there's a ton of Padron fans. I think that one is going to probably be another 51-49 kind of outcome. I think it's going to be really, really, really close.
I think if you look in the stands, you're going to see a lot of greens and a lot of reds and browns.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think if we were to just anticipate skipping to the final four, is it possible? Let's just play out some scenarios here.
Yeah.
A potential Crown Heads versus LFD final. Does that make sense?
I would like to see that, but I feel like Padron, I think it's going to have another tight turnout with LFD and Padron.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I do agree. So, and what we could have potentially is you could have Crown Heads facing off against LFD. You could have Crown Heads facing off against Padron. You can have Foundation facing off against either one or two. I think the most disappointing outcome to me would probably be like Foundation in the finals and like Padron in the finals.
Yeah,
but it would be interesting.
It would be interesting,
and I kind of like the fact that that's probably what won't happen. But that would be an interesting final.
Listen, a lot of Padron fans are still coming off of their high for making #1 in Cigar Aficionado this year.
That is true. And maybe that's what does it. Maybe that was what is going to inch them forward.
They got momentum.
They got that fucking momentum, man. They got that #1. But you did have Fuente that had the Opus X under Half Wheels reviews come out at #1, and that did them no favors in the last round. But Padron has steamrolled through. I mean, Padron beat out Cohiba Non-Cuban. I remember that one was 92 to whatever it was, 8%. I mean, it was a complete fucking steamroll. Padron beat out My Father, which is a massive brand, 66-34, and beats out Fuente 62. Padron has all the momentum right now.
Yeah.
LFD versus Davidoff, LFD has really steamrolled through as well, but really kind of hit a barrier with Davidoff.
Yeah.
I mean, that was as close as it possibly could have been. So I would say favorability would probably go to Padron in the next round, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see who carries the weight. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm really excited for the next round.
Yeah.
These are
whatever happens, the final is going to be ostensibly a David versus Goliath situation. And that is no prediction that it is a Foundation cigar. I'm just saying.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm just saying you've got a smaller organization against giant ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either one of those big players, big brands. I mean, they're
but our audience and in the cigar world, you're going to find out who thinks what about who.
Yeah, who's scrappy.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, and the thing is like I intentionally designed this to have a boutique brand face off against a big brand.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I structured this whole thing that way. And I thought that's a really good way of seeing, okay, who thinks what about who?
Yeah.
And, if it gets to the final round, and let's say it's Crown Heads and Padron wins out 90% to 10. Well, then we understand how the industry feels. We get how everyone feels. I don't anticipate that's going to be the outcome, but you never know. You never know, man. You leave it into the hands of the fucking audience to vote, and we'll see what happens. That is something to take in consideration, though, is what you said. I actually really like that. In terms of now, what kind of momentum do some of these brands have given the outcomes of a lot of these published lists over the past few weeks? Is that going to make a difference? Is somebody being, getting a high half wheel rating or a high cigar aficionado rating or a high rating from any publication going to move the needle for them in these upcoming rounds? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Probably not, but
yeah,
we'll see. It could. You never know. It could be that difference in that one vote.
It'd be really cool to see, especially for the next rounds, people that are tuning into this fucking riveting tournament. Maybe post a cigar of who you think's going to win, if you got one, in a photo.
Yeah, you could do that.
And then just tag everyone.
Literally everyone.
Say, come vote next week.
Yeah, I probably push a little bit harder in the later rounds to get the manufacturers involved, to kind of push some of this stuff out. Because I would like to see the one round we had of voting. It was over 300. I think it was like 350 votes on average.
Damn.
For each one. So it was pretty significant. I would like to see in the final 4 rounds it get pushed somewhere upwards of 500.
That'd be sweet.
I think that'd be pretty cool. That's a great sampling rate. So anyway, there you go. There's who you have moving on to the final 4. What a hell of a fucking round. I was really excited to do this episode knowing the outcome, because I was like, holy shit, it could not have gotten any closer, especially in 2 of the rounds. I was like, 2 of those, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. So there you have it. Crown Heads moving on, Foundation moving on in the final 4, LFD moving on in the final 4, and Padron moving on to the final 4. It's gonna get crazy.
I really love all 4 brands.
I do too.
Like
it's a struggle. It's a little bit of a struggle. Yeah. It's a struggle for me. The only one is it sucks because I love LFD, but I wanted Davidoff to win selfishly because I love Davidoff more than I like LFD. Barely, but I do. So I really wanted to see Davidoff because I thought, dude, think about like Davidoff and Padron. That's a battle.
Yeah.
Like 2 premier, more high-end brands.
Oh my God, yeah.
Going head to head. Like, how cool would that be? That would be so fucking cool. But you could have had Tatawahe and Placencia going against each other. You could have had Tatawahe and Foundation go against each other. You could have had Crown Heads and Placencia go against each other. But as it is, we have Crown Heads going up against Foundation. I think it's going to be close.
I think it's going to be close.
All right. There you have it. That's it. That's all. Let's wrap this bad boy up, huh?
Sounds great.
If you're watching this, you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, you should subscribe to YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube page is getting bigger. I'm actually pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
With little to no effort given, it's organically growing day by day, which is fantastic. Yeah. So if you like watching this, watch it on the tubies.
Yeah.
If you want to listen to it, we're on pretty much every single week that I get stats. There's like new places that is now our stat profile has gotten a lot better. So now I can see literally every single podcast platform that people listen on. I'm like, I never even fucking heard of that. It's like you have this many plays on this platform, and I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck that is. All the time. It happens all the time. Which, speaking of, we just closed out, obviously, an entire calendar year of 2021. It is definitely the biggest podcast year that we've had yet. So they keep getting bigger. This past year was huge for our podcast in terms of listeners and downloads and all that. And I don't think I've said it in a while. Huge appreciation and thanks for folks that listen and watch.
Yeah.
Because it is, I'll put it this way. It's allowed us to do some cool stuff. We've changed up a little bit of what we've done. Obviously, we're back in person now, which makes it much nicer than doing like the Zooms. And in addition to that, I think we start to understand like, hey, this is some of the content people really like listening to. And then that happens to be the content we like pushing out. I mean, most people who are listening and watching see that we're kind of getting more away from like doing cigar reviews unless they're new releases, and talking more about the industry as a whole and breaking down things in the industry. And I think that's served us well. And I think the audience really appreciates it. And that's what we were focusing on in 2021. And I think the growth that we've seen, which has been substantial, is a reflection of that. So it's pretty cool I was actually running the stats this morning for all of last year. And I was like, holy shit nuggets.
Yeah. Some
big episodes. So I really appreciate the people who have kind of ridden with us for a long time. And for those who are new, I was running stats, on some of the episodes here previous and back to episode 200, weirdly enough. Like you can see in the stats people who have started listening to us because the downloads and plays on those episodes that have been released for months are still really high. Every week it's like another, 25 to 50 downloads on this one, which is episodes from way far back.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see that more and more. So I'm starting to see new people who are coming on board and listening to previous episodes and just getting caught up with us. So for anyone who's been around forever, thank you. And for all of you who are listening that are new, also thank you.
Yeah.
Greatly appreciate it. It's been fun.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's end it there. We will be back at you next week. We have an interview next week, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
So we have that for next week. And then the week after, we will be doing the Final Four breakdown. And then we have an interview the week after that. And then we're going to get into the finals.
Crazy.
So hang tight with us. We guys hope you're enjoying the episode. This will conclude episode 228. We'll be back at you next week with episode 229. See you, everyone.